This mapped out landmass on the screen is known today as DR Congo, which is not in the east, north, south or west of Africa, but in the centre of the continent we call Africa. Within this landmass we know as DR Congo, the centre of it was known as Kasai, which would have included today's modern city regions we know today as Lomami, Sankuru, Mbuji, Kananga and Shikapa. Before Kasai was Kasai in ancient times, the region would have had populations already residing there by the early stages of the first millennium. These interior DR Congo regions would have no doubts been one of the last places on the planet to be generally explored prior to the Europeans' age of discovery and enlightenment timelines. During the 15th century, Arab conquest was taking place throughout various parts of Africa, but you will find no material or markations demonstrating sufficient proof about a discovery of a population within the interiors of DR Congo. Before the 15th century, these interior DR Congo populations could have increased in size or ventured out of the interiors, which could have caused some populations to be captured by traders, with some venturing back to the interiors of DR Congo, where it would be difficult for conquering populations to inhabit the very harsh, humid rainforest environments. Many of the interior DR Congo forest populations have tales in relation to the beginning of their civilization, beginning within DR Congo's old equator region. Also, before the 1950s, amongst these forest populations, it was unheard of that there was a mass waves of populations crossing from the west of what we know today as the Congo River to find and settle in DR Congo. Focusing on this Kasai region, let's go back to a time where there was no cameras, no radiocarbon dating devices, no Swahilis, no Arabs, no missionaries, no linguistic comparison theories or migration theories, which means there was no homogeneous group called Kuba, there was no homogeneous group called Luba in Kasai, there was no homogeneous group called Songe, there was no homogeneous group called Tetela, there was no homogeneous group called Pygmy, but there were indeed people in Kasai who would have been spread out or near the region we know today as Manyema, which is east of Kasai. The first indigenous inhabitants of these regions were fishermen and hunters who would have been generally referred to as Shua, Kete, Kuchu or Konda. The adults within these populations would have reached anywhere between 4 foot to 6 foot tall and would have been speaking what should be best described as Shien, Kete and Konda languages, which would have been the first recorded indigenous languages in Kasai. These populations would have been incredibly skilled in fishing, hunting, making stone tools, traps and baskets. We can imagine they lived with little to no contact from the outside world until the 17th to 18th century, when kingdoms outside of the centre of Kasai would have been already established, from the coasts of Angola up to modern-day Katanga. Within the 18th to 19th century, traders from Angola would be marking out slave trade routes from the coast of Angola up to the coast of Mozambique. During this process, they become aware of a people called Baluba in Katanga, who were also engaged in trade with Arab Swahili-speaking populations who controlled the ports of East Africa on behalf of the Arabic Omani Empire located in present-day Oman. Within this 18th century, the Angolan traders would inform their Portuguese allies about a people generally known as Baluba in today's Katanga region. This is where the story of Kasai begins.
Nikolole mwaki mamoku ya tambwelo tumemo yufula katu hoki
ka
ekonga ahoho sele akondo dango chete ko tajoko atito jaka lushila Ekonda atito kamba Asomere kabe kote nando howe solati wo Konda. Bakete. Ale ko ya lona. Sale sadie mala.
Dango la le développement d'Akilemba ou des sociétés Atojimba, Kaya Vasande, di mena le projet Kakindi.